Hello.
Hi, how are you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you. I wanted to make sure I was not on mute, but I'm not. That's good. Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
And this is a little background on me. After I finished at Taft, I went to Emory for college because I'm from Atlanta. Didn't care much for Emory. It was a lot of competition between pre-med and pre-law people there.
Mm.
So my brother, who's a year behind me, was starting at George Washington, and so I decided to transfer to George Washington in DC. And so I finished my degree and my BS in chemistry, and then stayed on to get a master's in chemistry there as well. But then ended up going to Georgetown for medical school. And then after my 4 years at Georgetown, I graduated and went to University of Chicago for my residency in OBGYN. So that was a 4 year residency then. And finished in 94. And that's when I left Chicago, came back to DC. And this is where I've been ever since. This is my 30th year. So I started as an associate. And after about 4 years, I bought in as a partner. And we actually bought the practice, me and three other guys bought the practice from the original partner. Currently, we have five OBs that deliver babies, and I'm included in that five. Because one of your questions was, why did I go into OBGYN? So at the end of my third year, this was my last rotation. And I wanted surgery all along, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm strong in surgery, and people that work in our practice are very strong in GYN surgery. I thought I wanted to do general surgery. My third year general surgery rotation was abysmal. It was just awful, primarily because when I trained, it was long before the 80-hour limited work week that you keep hearing people talk about. So that the general surgery interns, the first year residents in general surgery, were literally on call every other night, which means that either they were on call or post call or pre call. So every other night. So they were miserable human beings, and they treated the medical students the same way. So I didn't have a good rotation at all and good experience in general surgery. So I quickly changed my mind. And in my third year, I thought, okay, the end of my third year for my rotation in OB and GYN, I said, this is the perfect mix. For the most part, you're dealing with healthy patients, healthy women who are largely much more compliant than men. Two, OB is very gratifying. Three, there's a ton of surgery. It depends on how aggressive you want to be in surgery, but there's a ton of surgery, and which I like. And so it was a really nice mix. And I come from a family of lawyers. No, I'm the only non-lawyer in my entire family, and they thought I was crazy to go into this field because it's so litigious. And they said, this is the field that has the most number of lawsuits. What are you thinking? And I said, I have to practice and do and have a career what I enjoy. And I have absolutely no regrets. I wouldn't have done anything differently. To be honest, a lot you hear about physician burnout. That's like a big thing today, and I think people are trying to tackle that. And so, what I have found in the course of my career, I have actually an incredibly supportive husband. So we've been together since 23 years or so, and so while our relationship is really important, and for the sake of our lives, he does recognize how important my career is and how what a priority it takes. It's not more important than him. I would say it's about the same degree, but I'm always sort of logging in both into my office, to the hospital, sort of keeping my hand on what's going on, primarily because I'm not, it's not like I'm a control freak, but I just sort of have to keep my hands in what's going on. And so with being always attached to texting and emails and phones, I just that's sort of my way of keeping up with things. So administratively, I still keep my hands on things and maintain this pace, but I also was the chair for many years of the department. I sit on a lot of committees. I'm the chair of the peer review committee, also the president of the Prince William County Medical Society, all those things, which it's a lot of juggling. I enjoy that part of it.
Mhm.
And then I'll hopefully have more time after October to be able to spend with that as well.
Yeah,
So it's like I said, it's very rewarding, but you have to sometimes draw the line. And I just see a lot of people having difficulty with juggling like that. Yeah.
yeah. That's so interesting. Like your experience, like being able to juggle that many positions.
That's a great question. I mean, what you're sort of touching on a little bit, and again, I didn't do much public health, but I know it's the MPH that and the VA are important for some people in our field. But there's a big push today to get a grasp on maternal morbidity and mortality today, and certain groups of the population are underserved or underrepresented from a medical standpoint, especially rural areas and parts of the country. And I'll get into that in just a minute, why that's such a big problem. But my big issue is to make sure that patients get prenatal care, regular prenatal care. Unfortunately, today we have a large Hispanic population in the area, and in this area. So, excuse me, if you speak Spanish, you're way ahead of the game. But what's interesting is that when Afghanistan, we don't call them refugees, but evacuees, were coming to the U.S., a lot of them were put up in Quantico, which is the Marine base south of here, and a lot of those patients, the women were pregnant, and so they were going to the nearby hospitals, in large part our hospitals, to deliver their babies. And of course, none of us, and even none of us, spoke Pashto or Urdu or some of the languages that they were speaking. I made it clear to the hospital administration. I said, if you if you want us to take care of these patients, you have to make translators available 24/7. And they realized, because that is a really important thing where the Department of Justice is concerned, they will fine a hospital big time if you don't make translators available, especially since we're probably, of all of our hospitals, the most diverse hospital in the area. So whether it's Pashto or Urdu, or whether it's a language spoken in Pakistan, whether it's Chinese or Japanese, or today a woman this morning was from Bangladesh. So there I can't imagine. We have translators, live ones during the day and even weekends in Spanish, but we have a system that's electronic, that allows us to translate. So with patients, so you can imagine that we were delivering patients from Afghanistan. The other issue with that is that in large part they're Muslim, and they don't like men to even look at them or touch them or deliver their babies, right? So that's another thing we've had to grapple with. And so a lot of them, for one reason or another, whether it's financial, can't see doctors, don't get regular prenatal care, are vastly overweight, because obesity is a huge problem in this country. As a result, they have hypertension. As a result, they have diabetes that's not in control, or various other medical problems. They may come from Guatemala, they may come from Honduras, they may come from El Salvador, and they've had C-sections in their countries. We don't have access to any of those C-sections, operative notes. So we have to repeat C-sections on them. They may have 4, 5, 6 C-sections. I've done that with patients. The other last week I did a fourth C-section in a patient and a third C-section in a patient. So in all in one day. So that it's not unusual. So you have to get pretty adept surgically to do those things. Patients want to make sure that you're available to answer questions. And I think probably, if anything today, I don't care how big and busy the practice is, one of my biggest pet peeves is for physicians and I've got friends who are at Hopkins who never return calls to patients and never call their doctors, and they'll just have their fellows or their residents do it. I really don't like that, because patients want to hear from you. And if it's something that's really serious and you're not going to be able to answer it easily in a message through the portal, pick up the phone and call them. That's what I do all the time. You know what I mean? It may be 7 in the morning or maybe in the evening when I'm on call, but I'm calling them back. You know what I mean? So I think that's a really important thing to pay. I'll say to our patients, we have a very big practice. We have a lot of active patients, but the patients, I say, stay away from the phone tree. It's not very user friendly. You'd have to be on hold for 20 minutes to wait for somebody, a triage nurse or otherwise, to talk to you. Message me through the portal, get me a message, and I'll make sure I call you back, or I'll address a question or problem. So again, a lot of the younger, and I put you and others in this category, younger students or medical students or residents approach me and they say, well, I really just want to concentrate on the work-life balance. And I'll say, I have no concept of what that means. I do not understand what a work-life balance means. I mean, I go away with my husband, and for a week at a time, we go to some remote beach location and don't think of anything for a week. One of these all-inclusive adults-only resorts. And we've done that for years. And to me, that's what I need to get away for a week. You have to find that balance. I think that's important, but you have to also be serious about your career. I'm not saying let it take over your life. I'm not saying that you shouldn't still have the opportunity to be able to have a family and take the time for that purpose to travel and see family, etc. And things are going to interfere, no doubt about it. Elderly parents, sick relatives, that sort of thing. Your health is important. You have to stay on top of it. You know what I mean? Both your physical and mental health. But it's very, very satisfying. I think I really do think it's truly a calling. Truly, you know what I mean? But
I'm like really interested because I could see you're like very passionate about what you do. And so
yeah.
I was wondering, like, when did you like discover that passion for medicine, or were you
when I
set?
was like when I was like 12 years old, probably.
Wow.
So, so you know this as well as I do. When you come from a family that emphasizes education, right? And I come from a Jewish family, and my father actually was a survivor of the Holocaust. He's since passed away, but education to him was very, very important. And and so my mom, as a Jewish mother, said to my brother, "You're going to be the lawyer, and I'm going to be the doctor." And this is not unusual. And same thing with Chinese families. You know this as well as I do. They strive to succeed. Definitely overachievers. I mean, when I was at Taft, same thing throughout undergrad. I studied every, Saturday night. I was in the library, always studying. You know what I mean? That's I don't come by, knowledge naturally. I just was always studying to be competitive. And I have friends who knew me as undergrads, and they would be like, why are you so serious about school all the time? I said, because not everybody gets accepted to medical school. That's kind of how I grew up. And it's not to say I don't enjoy myself. It's not to say that I don't think it's important to stay fit and to exercise and eat the right foods and and exercise your mind and your body type thing. All that's really important. I hope you keep in touch with me. Let me know how things are going, what you also
Yeah,
think.
Definitely. I hope in like 20 years time I'll be like talking about like a particular field of medicine as passionate as you are.
Well, I mean, I just like I said, I just really enjoy it, and I'm always interested to see young people who are as passionate about it as I am. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so it's kind of exciting to see that that you're just in the beginning of it all. I'm sort of the tail end of it, and I
Yeah.
know medicine is changing, and as much as you know it's changing, and but we still need people who are getting into the trenches, meaning they're the hard work. And so it was great meeting you. Look forward to
Yeah.
meeting you in person one day. Okay.
Mhm. Have a wonderful day and
Okay.
get
You
some
do the
rest.
same. Thank you. I will try. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.